Good morning, everyone. It's a little cloudy here today. Looks like it's going to be wonderful rain showers. Good morning. Let's see. Chase and Carol and Anik and Barbara Ward. I'm wishing all of you a joyful day also. So first, let's call in Mother and Father and all of the angelic kingdom and the ascended beings to come and to encircle us on this day. And we welcome those of all the universe that are come to sit with us to learn. Good. And we'll state our mantra. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. Breathe it in. I hope you could hear me. I just realized it was on 0. But here we are. So I sat here and I asked, what do we need to talk and share about today? And I got 2 words, surrender and simplicity. Both very challenging to bring into your consciousness and into your daily lives. I would say surrender is maybe the most difficult because you're living in this world. Life is happening right before you, and it feels like things happen to you, not that they're just coming for a lesson. But number 1, good morning, Christina. If you could learn to begin to know that things that occur are for your growth. The heavens, more than any part of you, know better what's important for you to learn upon this growth path of evolution. And what you don't realize is your aura is emanating out to the world. Help me heal. Help me heal this. Teach me about jealousy. Teach me about loving. Well, perhaps you don't see it. Maybe one day you will. So that's why it's hard to surrender, because it's a learned experience on how to begin to take a breath, move away from it, and gather all your fearful thoughts, negative thoughts, all about it, and to begin to breathe and let there be breath. Good morning, Marby. So, how do we do that? Well, I'm going to skip for a moment to talking about simplicity. What we learn through the path and our journey is, the simplicity of God. And we begin to learn that when something's said or whispered around us, unless it has a sound of simplicity and of extreme truth, there's no need to pay attention to it. You know, many times when you're looking inside of yourself for an answer, your head, your intelligence, will give you a lot of ideas, maybe very detailed, and you'll go through writing them all out and writing everything down you need to do, where if you instead went into your heart and asked God for his information, it would be a simple response. Very simple. And you could feel the difference in the energy as it would come. So if you could bring the simplicity into knowing how to surrender, you would be that much further in the game. For instance, let's say there's a project you've been working on and you get the phone call and things just aren't what you thought they were. People have lapsed on their job. It's not going to go where it's what you thought it was supposed to go. Perhaps there's thoughts of failure. What am I going to do? This is over. You need to turn it around, and what is the positive about this? What's the good thing about it? And also, ask God to show you the simple way to look at it. First of all, I can see there's cords of attachment on that being completed that you have to negate within yourself. We live in a world that it's about living in the moment, not living in tomorrow or next week or wherever you want to say. Good morning, Shailene. So when all of a sudden you get that call and everything's falling apart, what you want to do instead, well, now, what could be my lesson here? What's happening? Well, why am I learning that unless I do it myself? And you can hear that right away. That's not the answer. It's not teaching you that you have to do everything. But you can let your hands go. First thing I would do is let those cords go, let my hands go, and sit down in my seat, the lower root chakra of your body. What is my purpose in knowing this? What's my purpose in interacting with this? You see? And it may be nothing about the work, the project, or any of that. It could be about how you respond. Maybe you're learning to respond differently about upsetting things. Because there's a period of time when what happened where you won't be upset. You will go to yourself, I understand. And the simplicity of what you are learning will come to you. So let's think of our disturbance here. And we have a project that all of a sudden we know isn't going to get done. But maybe it's a lesson bigger than even you. Maybe it's a lesson for the other person and their project team. Maybe it's a lesson that maybe it has to totally change before it can be finished. There's so many answers, but what you need to do is look for the simplicity of it, because that's going to allow there to be change. Sometimes things can get too detailed and burden you down to where you can't do anything. And that's not the answer that you're looking for. You're looking for the simplicity. Yes, it's true. I hear it somewhere. The simplicity would be hold the light for it and let things come and speak to you. That would be the utmost simplicity and a way to really surrender. But you next must be open to hear it. This is what we call being awake. This is a journey of becoming an awakened state. You want to be able to see it all and take your time and not hurry. Oh, well, I hear that. That's just this. You want to take time. I'm talking maybe 5-10 minutes. And let all that can come to you about the simplicity of the situation. Not the emotional reaction, the fear about work, not all those things. But what is it that's really speaking to you today that God's attempting to through simplicity, give you an understanding of a new way to interact into your world? So let's think about this for a moment. Let's just all sit down in our seat, down in our root, and let's ask, what is God really trying to help this person with that believes something should be done and done a certain way and by a certain time? Have to's, right? Did you hear that as I said it? Everything has to be strictly regimented. Well, I have to tell you, God isn't that way. God's very free and in a flow. And what it does is much how the water runs over a creek, it gets where it needs to be when it needs to show up. So how can we look at this project from a different point of view? And what is the truth? What is the most important accomplishment to achieve? Well, what it says to me is that everyone's been in an uproar inside about this project. Not that we know specifically, but I would guess that it's been overwhelming and not being able to relax and participate in its action. Think about that. So if you're a being of light and have that ability, and you are participating actually in that action, there would be a different quality that would have been coming along with that project all of the time. So maybe it needs something from you. And for you in your work or in your family to know the best response is you need to participate in all things that are about you. That love, that light that you hold, uh, things won't be how they're meant to be without you participating. You can't just give it to someone else to do without some of your light being left there. Some of that love you know how to hold, being a participant. So let's think for a moment and let's shine our light towards the project. And then we can begin to see that the other side of the project is probably the same way in a disturbance. And that someone needs to calm down and to relax. And perhaps there's someone we need to believe in, which we really never did. Interesting fact there too, isn't it? What do we believe in? And there's nothing about hurrying. Is any way that we want something or a project we're doing to be done. So again, surrendering. You have to take a breath and give up when it's going to be done. Because when you do, it'll be done much quicker and more efficiently. Because you'll be allowing the light to work with you. Participating, hand in hand. And if you're shutting out the light and not participating with the light that you hold, then you have there's a bad control and a good control. The way it was when we began was a bad control, but if you can allow the light to be a participant, is a very good control. It's using your mastery to help resolve a situation that apparently has gone awry. Okay, Shailene, Julie Johnson, good morning. Thanks for coming. So I hope this helps to expand your perception of your life as you're becoming more light. You need to place yourself in it. It's not just about becoming light. It's about what do you do with your light? How is your relationship with you and your light? Your light being that which is of God. How do you integrate that into who you are and let things be easy and move right along? And you'll know it. You'll know it when something needs your attention. But maybe it doesn't have to be a whole big thing that you get called up about. You'll feel it. And then you'll know to sit and let the simplicity of God to come in within you and look at it differently. You know, perception is about seeing with God's eyes. You can work all you want with your sight and trying to see things, but if you don't add that magic, you're not really going to see what you're meant to see. All these gifts that are given are to be used with His perception behind them, or with them, I should say. So perhaps what we need to talk about is that relation that each of you have with Mother, Father. So I can tell you now, everyone would say they have one. And probably as we would talk about it, you would realize it isn't where it needs to be yet. And that's okay. There is no judgment there. And that's what you need to have. Non-judgment so that you can become where you're meant to be. Judgment, control, neediness, those are all things that need healing, not to get you where you want to go. So what is it about this relationship with God? Well, we've talked about that word, and it's believing. If you are not capable at this moment or willing at this moment to believe that there is a higher power and that his name is God and that he's there and he supports you, he won't be. And I cannot tell you the unique little ways that almost every day we're shown that God is with us and brings us things to remind us, I'm here, don't get crazy. And we chuckle about it, understanding the depth of God that's within us. And that's where I'm wanting to support all of you finding. It's a total belief, a total surrender. When you can take that seat within you and sit with him and know that all things are fine. The human of you might not, but the part of you that's spiritual and know that God's with you will begin to understand the belief and surrendering to him and to Mother. You know, it's a very special relationship. And I wish in my deepest heart that you all grow and have that same place to live through life. Because then it really isn't about what's happening in this world. Because when you truly believe in God, you are in a higher experience of that world. And there's a whole new sight and experience and understanding about how things happen, why they happen, and how you interact and become participant. So, if anyone has thoughts or questions, please write them to me and let's get a good conversation going here. How do you react when things seem to be going down the wrong road? What do you pull forth from outside of you? Or what does God feel to you? You know, believing is exactly what it says. It's believing. It's not thinking about it. It's not, well, yeah, sure. I talked to him ever since I was little. Nope, not what I mean. There's a different level of that relationship that will come and be participant in your world. So, anyone have thoughts about our conversation today? How you feel when things happening? How you handle it? No, nothing. I guess it takes a little while to type. You know, for those even that if you have pain, God will participate with you in that. Oh, here's Chase. I always ask what lesson am I'm supposed to learn from this. Great. And do you sit down in your seat and surrender and let it come without your mind trying to figure it out? That's the next challenge. You see, the ego has had control for a very long time, and it's a habit that we have to get out of. And it can be also another challenging part of becoming on the spiritual journey is not letting the ego have a voice or a nudge to push you in a certain way or do it my way kind of feeling. It's about letting that go also. Oh, that's Carol. Thank you, Carol. Yes. Certainly, a lot of people with what's going on the earth now have interesting things occurring to their perception of Mother. And have you ever sit and asked, well, what is this all about? Okay, let's see what Barbara has to say. First, I freak out, get overwhelmed. And then I take a deep breath and say, greater is He that is in me than any outward circumstance. Then I try to connect with God and surrender. So I am going to support you in knowing that you don't try, that you do. Because remember, thoughts are things. Try is not a word that can be in your spiritual experience in any way. So then you connect with God and surrender, you see? And that will make it happen. Okay. And Julie, the biggest issues within the family are most triggering. Then I'm on the ego slide. Yes. I understand. And this is when you really, if you've been doing the practice and doing the journey, it will become easier and easier. Because I've seen this in action. I have two grandsons, one that's my blood grandson and one that isn't. And the one that isn't is younger and yet louder and has issues. And the mother responds and takes it all out on the good one. So I understand, and she gets freaked out. So then I come in on the phone and I speak to them from a place that this all behavior must stop in this instant. And it's quiet. Where for an hour or two, they've been driving her nuts screaming. And then I suggest what they do next, and they get about doing their things, and the place is quiet. So what's the difference in that look? It's where I come from within me, where she hasn't developed that and is reacting, freaking out. So in that situation, if you have, good Barbara, no trying. When something like that's going on, you need to take the breath first and then present yourself in your centered self as a resolution. And there's nothing to be freaking out about. Even if it's someone who's cut a finger or hurt something, you need to learn to sit in that surrendered place and handle it because you're teaching these children. You know, otherwise my grandchildren, all they know is it's fight, fight, fight. You know, we can all say, yeah, that's what kids do at home, they fight. But we can change that. It's about having a greater love, a love for each other that you can demonstrate for the love you're finding inside yourself. Yes, the reactions from the old family ways. That's right. That's how it used to be. Fight, fight, fight. It's okay. Kids fight. Well, it's not okay. Because what it is making our world like it is today, where grown people are now fight, fight, fight. And yet we can't believe it, and yet they're just still being boys or girls acting out how they were taught to be at home. Is it blame? I'm not saying it's blame. We must own the truth of how patterns move. Breathe and surrender and allow. That's right. There's a higher path a higher way to see it. And that's what the journey that you're on is about. Lift yourself up and yes, I go between them and just tell them, that's it, stop. You don't act this way around me. Of course, I'm half the universe away here, but I can be there in that room and they hear it in my voice. I will not tolerate it. For some reason, their mother can't develop that, probably because she doesn't know of it. But all of you here that are working on your journey should begin to be able to find that place that you have a strength without fear and that you're speaking it not alone, but with the energy of mother and father behind you. I can remember the day I was going to tell my second husband I was going to leave. And mother said to me, go ahead, stand, speak your piece. But no, I stand right behind you. There's nothing to fear. And it was very, very amazing because I was a little concerned. And here his response was, okay, I think you're right. Just that easy. So I'm telling you, when you can find this energy inside yourself to weave your life into a new way, it will follow you and it will support you and be there for you. Yes, Marby, that's great. And does it work for you? And you know, my grandchildren, they'll call me up. They love me. I'll have that stern voice. My own kids would tell me there's a look. They call me Yaya. There's a look that Yaya has you don't want to go around. But you have to find it, but in a loving place, not in you're in trouble. I don't believe there is trouble. The trouble is letting it go and letting it be that which fosters out of a wound. And like you said, whoever it was, becomes the way we think life is. Well, our world is showing us something different now. That if there was more love in individuals and more understanding and relationships with God that are really truthful, things could maybe perhaps be different. How do I say that? They would be different. So, and we can all start. Yes, you're right, the I. When I said goodbye to my grandson the other night, he's taking the screen and he's just smiling this sweet smile at me. He had a Pokemon card that came up in his name. And he goes, yeah, would you like me to send you? I have 2 cards. Would you like me to send it to you? I go, oh, I would love that. He comes out and he shows, his mother goes, you gave that to me. He goes, not now, not anymore. It was so funny, his little sly way. And I said, oh, well, I'll appreciate it. But maybe you'll find another one for mommy too. He's 12 and he's a unique being. You see him and his aura is like for 12 feet gold. That's all it is. And he likes crystals. And he says to me, what does it mean, seeing with your eye? I'm not sure I know what that means. I go, yeah, it's just not time for you to understand. So he's going to be a powerful being. And Barbie says yes. So these are lessons you've maybe even heard before, but there's not going to be too many times we're going to talk about it because they are powerful lessons. They are lessons that become norm. They're part of who you are. And to where you can look at the world and just, I understand. Because it becomes to where most of the world is you can understand and not have to voice or be heard. And doesn't have to be that you also participate in the way someone else has to participate. Okay, that's fine. Because there's going to be an intelligence a higher consciousness, I'll say, that's awakened, that will see beyond that which actually is existing in the human world. So Marby is on board here. Okay. What's our time today? Oh, I guess it is time. Well, as always, I appreciate you all coming to hear me yarn or talk or whatever you want to call it. And I hope you get something from it. If there's any other thoughts or questions, I'll hang here for a minute. But the world, in truth, is a very loving place. And when we can all begin to see it from that view and hold that truth in our hearts, so shall it be. So, because we are that world lives within us. I told you the earth is right inside here. So we want to have a peaceful harmony, union in our world. And we can create that to happen by creating love in all these different ways within us. And you're very welcome, Barbara. Again, I'm so glad that you showed. Tomorrow is Jesus is coming. And haven't talked to him yet this week. But I'm sure he'll be there when I wake up tomorrow. And thank you, Anik. So if I brought a little bit of drop of godliness in your life today, then I've done what I've been asked to do. Heal your own disappointment and resentments first. Yes, that's one way to look at it. That's why people have a mentor and they do their healings, because then it doesn't ever come up as such an issue. Or when it does, you already know how to handle it. So it's all about healing those 144,000 parts of you. All right. Much love to you. I want you all to have a wonderful, loving day. You can do it because you're made out of love. Just remember that. That spark that Mother and Father gave you was of the purest love. And you just need to remember it. All the rest is what you've gathered from other lifetimes, from people, from teachers, and maybe all of it isn't what you want to hold on to. Okay. Thank you so much, too. Many blessings to all of you. I hope you have a great day.